So welcome
Okay.
everyone to the Coaching to Flourish podcast. I am your host, John. Today I have Wennie. Wennie was in my, did we do 1.0 and 2.0 together? I feel
We
like
did.
both.
So for 1.0, I had Hannah and you. And then for
Okay.
2.0, it was mostly you.
Right. And I mean, and then that was one of the last classes that I led, like just me. And then we did like like me and someone else, and then I'm out altogether. And I am loving this interview series because I get to go back and reconnect with people I haven't, like we spent some time together. We
I know we
journeyed
did. And it's been
together.
so long since we last spoke. So I'm really glad you're doing
Totally.
this. And I'm so happy to be here. So thank you.
It's gonna be a pleasure getting into this. And so Wendy, let's start with your story. You went through the coaching program. You've had
Yes.
a career even before coaching. Let's dive into your story. What have you done in the past, and what brought you to coaching?
Sure. So growing up, I traveled a lot internationally because of my parents' work. And I just loved observing people, different cultures, different customs, and how people relate to one another. And that's really where my curiosity came from, just from a very young age. And because of that, it led me to study psychology, and eventually I started working in law as a paralegal, and I helped the firm expand internationally, and that was an amazing project, especially at such a young age, and then I transitioned into artist management, where I got to negotiate writers and enforce, contracts and all of that, and became a consultant and co-founded Dorian with my business partner, Noah, whom you know, and did the course with me, the courses 1.0 and 2.0. And we decided to add coaching into our business to help enhance the consulting and the efficacy of it. So here we are.
That's amazing. That's amazing. No, it's been quite lovely. I know that you've had, I mean, you do live in LA, and you've had a career where you've been, I don't know, in the mix, like with negotiating. I know these are tough fields in some ways. What have you found, or what has coaching given to the things that you were already up to?
Oh, wow. So with the consulting side, I use the coaching to better communicate with the clients and to really dig deep and get to the root of what they need. And I also wanted to do it because I'm a total introvert, and it's always good to add something that would help with communication. So coaching has really helped me communicate better with clients and with people in general. And it has definitely benefited our clients in that we can really dig into the nitty-gritty and get down to it.
I remember when you and Noah first started, and we're talking about adding coaching, like this coaching dimension to your practice, and here you are. What's
Yes.
it like to live that dream, to have the dream, to do it, and to be on the other side? What's that like?
It feels so good. And it's like you said, when you grow as a coach, you also grow as a person. I think it's something along those lines, right?
Right. What's been the biggest growth? Biggest thing you've noticed?
Oh, how comfortable I am now having conversations. I remember when I was in the 1.0, and you said we had to get clients and do these coaching sessions like right away. We got to start on them. I think that was probably like the second or third class. And I was thinking to myself, oh no, how am I going to be in a conversation for a whole hour? Like, what am I going to say? How am I going to know what to ask? I was such a nervous wreck, and here I am, having had a number of coaching clients. Um, it's just like now the conversations just flow so naturally, and it's like I can't believe the hour's almost up, or whatever. I can't believe I have to start wrapping up the conversation now.
Mhm.
So it's been such a relief, and it feels very almost, I want to say, liberating, because we could just go on forever.
Right, right. It's almost like, well, I think for me, what coaching does is it gives a structure. It provides a structure for a useful conversation that with complete confidence, this conversation is going to be useful. Like that's a baseline, and then it might be life changing. Like,
Absolutely.
that's the leap. What have you? So I have so many questions. Okay, so what? Just going back to the 1.0, 2.0. What's the coaching skill you find yourself using the most with your clients?
Oh, absolutely. Level 2 listening.
Mm,
That is my absolutely favorite. It's um it's what allows me to really just let go and trust the process. It's like it doesn't it in regards to coaching, it's just like it doesn't matter where the conversation's going, because there's always something in that deep listening that's going to be able to tie everything together. And surprisingly, for a lot of my clients, their favorite tool is inner critic. So my feeling is that the end, I think some of them have reflected that with the inner critic, it really allows them to have fun with the conversation. And also um, visualize some of the emotions that they've been having, and to have fun with it, even if when it's like very serious or something that's very critical, um, that they can still have fun with it. And that was very important for many of them.
right. And that inner critic work it's tough to do alone. Like I've been thinking a lot about the self-talk, and Moist and I, our oldest is now 13, and it's amazing to ask questions sometimes, like, so how's your self-talk going? How are you? And to have vocabulary for it. I feel like there's such value in being able to I don't know, create distance between, like, your awareness and whatever stories we're telling ourselves. That distance then helps us manage it, and make it less personal and not so deep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tool that I feel like has a lot of layers to it. What were some of the self-talk you had to break through in your coaching?
Oh, um, it's the feeling like I can't. So that was something I had to get over. It's just like, what is why am I stopping myself from doing something? Why am I telling myself I can't do something? It doesn't make sense, because when you think about it, and then when you think about what that does to your trajectory, it's completely counterintuitive. So to be able to visualize that and to verbalize it, and uh, Noah and I work together on a daily basis, so it's amazing to be able to work with someone who can also coach you through some of these things, um, and it's been, yeah, I hardly ever feel the presence of that inner critic anymore.
Mm, mm. Yeah,
And when it does appear, I can recognize it and be like,
right.
hey, go away.
It kind of feels like an old friend, like an old, like kind of like a high school like acquaintance that pops up in your feed or something, or like sends you
Yeah.
a text. You're like, oh, I remember you. Like, in a good way, kind of familiarity. What's the tool then that you then switch out to, or switch gears into?
It just depends on the situation, where the conversation's going, or um, what the function of the inner critic is. Uh, and oftentimes it's thoughtful. It's there to protect almost. And then you go into, I guess, what what can you what's the conversation you want to have with it? How do you want to relate to that inner critic, and how do you want to transform that relationship? So that's where it goes into relationships.
Right, right. Mm. And
Is there a pattern that you've found with that inner critic, like where it leads you or your clients?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I feel like when people go through like the 1.0 and 2.0, like, when they go through any coach training program, or really any program, let's say that there are, 30 different concepts that you can, like a menu that you can choose from. That there are like one or two that really stand out that people really lean into and use on a regular basis. This is what happens. Inner critic is often a popular one, and, coupled with future self, we got perspective work, and all of this work that I feel like helps people fundamentally raise awareness and then make better decisions, right? What they're doing. Where's your practice at now? And like, if you were to find like this is the person that you work with, and what's your specialty, what's your niche, like what do you have going on now?
So we do a lot of referral work, and of course, we're always looking to grow our our business. So what we look for are high lifetime value clients. We're not looking for huge volume. So in order to serve our clients the way we need to, we do not do quantity. We look for the lifetime value of the client, and they're generally long-term clients. And so what I do is I focus on, I'm generally the door opener. I know it's very ironic because of, how shy I am. But in many of the team projects, I've often been the door opener, and I do the client relations. Um, so for me personally, my clients are people who have a lot of priorities. So what I do is I help them encapsulate the priorities in an environment in which they can better manage their time, so that they can reach more efficiency than what they're seeing now.
Wow. Your coaching style to me was so gentle and sweet, combined with like out of the blue, like a very prickly question that would just rattle people, like boom, get them out of there. I'm so curious. Still true? Is that still
Yes, it is.
that's
I remember we tried to break me out of that softness, but I think it's just intrinsically part of me because of how shy I am and how much I just love to observe and think about things. So even though I sound like I could be very soft and gentle, I know that the questions aren't.
that's a good way. I feel like that's a fair way to put that.
Yeah.
I feel like both you and Noah have a very an energy that draws people in, makes people feel safe, and this is going to be a lovely, just easy experience. And then, pow! There's the question that will, shatter that you know, that percent, you know, that you know, limiting belief that you may have had that is now going to
Mhm.
be front and center here.
Yeah, and it's amazing how different our styles are. Um, I, yeah, so his is like totally different, but super impactful.
Mhm.
It's just he has a lot more energy and presence, and but then he hits you with these questions that just come out of nowhere
Mhm.
and really make you think.
Right, right. Well, I think I have him next week. So I
Yes.
get, I get Noah next week, which will be fun. I'm looking forward to that too. But
Yeah,
I mean,
me too.
with Amois, you know, there was a question she said something like 3 days ago that just really rocked my world. And it's still, you know, reverberating a little bit. There's so much value in having your business partner also someone who is coach trained. What
Yes.
what would you tell people? Like what's it like to be in, you know, co-coaching business relationship?
Um, I wouldn't say you're constantly coaching each other, but you have the tools to and the method of communicating that really is supportive and helps draw out the, I guess, draw out the results and the goals like a lot more efficiently and effectively.
It's a fun question, isn't it, to think about? Because I've thought a lot
Yeah.
about this,
Yeah.
but it's hard to know because I mean we've been, you know, coaching, we've been trained now for over 15 years. I mean, I mean, it's kind of like you've lived life with coaching. So how can you know what it's like life is out without coaching? Like, what's the difference, right?
Yeah,
Um,
is it for you guys? Is it a very natural part of everyday conversation?
Well, it's interesting because I think, you know, the stereotypical thing with coaching is, you know, when you're thinking about, okay, so how do you like coach, you know, bring coaching into a relationship? Is it
Mm,
asking, okay, so we're going to ask questions now? Are we going to ask what our goals are? Are we going to get really like, what's your feeling about that? You know, go down some pretty traditional, you know, routes that people think that coaching takes. Uh, but I think
mm,
what on a deeper fundamental level, what I've arrived at is that the main value, well, there's a couple things, but one of the biggest things is the the foundation shifts, like the fundamental assumption that you're making about the capability of the other person changes. And instead of
mm,
thinking about it from a standpoint of, okay, you're constantly in a performance zone, and if you're not doing it well, that means you'll never do it well. That shifts to a learning zone, which is, okay, so I believe that there, you know, you have the capability. Let's get in here. Let's get dirty. Let's figure out what's going on. I feel like that is like that to me is a fundamental shift that happens whenever people, I don't know, call it like relax that fixed mindset performance zone part of themselves.
mm.
Uh, I'm so curious. What are your thoughts on that? Does that resonate? Does that feel like in the zone? Like where are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that everyone can benefit from the support, the type of support that coaching provides. Um, but obviously, it shouldn't be like forced upon anyone, but it can absolutely benefit everyone.
Like, do we ask each other coaching questions all the time? No,
Yeah.
it's annoying.
Is there
Don't
ever like a
do that.
time where you hit like a boundary? It's like, hey, don't coach me right now.
Yeah, we do. And our code word for that is thank you for your feedback. Like that's when we know that we have to stop. Like, you know, no more feedback. We're good. Like, got message received. Moving on to something else. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I mean, but I mean, I think people, when they initially go through coaching and, you know, it's rare for people, well, not rare, but it doesn't happen often. Or it's not the most often thing that happens, that people, when they go through coaching, they also go through coaching with the person they're working with. That's a rare, I feel like that's a gift.
Mhm.
What happens, I think, is everyone gets in the puppy stage all at the same time. So you have two puppies and everyone's puppying it up. So it's like, woohoo, yay, coaching. But what happens when the one person goes through and the other person doesn't, then you have one person in the coaching puppy stage. And then the other person thinks, oh, really, I have to go deal with this, or you coaching me right now, and it's annoying. You did not have the second, you didn't have to go through that, experience. Neither did I, really. I mean, most of the time we went through coaching around the same time too.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
What's the,
I know I think she did it first and then you.
Yeah, she went through about a year. She did it about a year before I did. And I got into it because I was like the guinea pig for her, people in her coaching program. I was always the volunteer practice client. So I loved it. I thought, this is great. These conversations are amazing. Like, I get to talk and people listen and I get to say whatever I want and someone will go with me. Like, that's, wow. All right. And yeah, it's amazing. I mean, the whole profession, I feel like is, there's a lot here. Where do you see yourself? Like, where's the 2-year mark or 2 or 3 year mark? Like from this point, because I mean, you've done 3 years ago, started training, now you're here. What's the next 3 years?
Oh, it's just like, I'm thinking about future self and everything just looks so good. I can't stop smiling. I imagine that we will continually fold the coaching into the consulting business, and then really just, I mean, Noah's really the genius behind all of this. You can give him like all these different variables, and then he can take it and then like spit out like the best solution. So, and really for me, I'm going to continue to do what I am best at, which is, overseeing the creative process, and also overseeing like the research process and compiling everything, and to continue to use my skills to open doors and to build and to continue to just see the magic happen.
What patterns do you see with the people who are doing creative work as a profession?
It is definitely something I can't do. So I'm always in awe when I see people creating things. It's like, I wish I could do that. It's like they're putting their heart and soul on display for everyone to judge.
Yeah.
And I just think it takes so much strength and bravery for creatives to be able to do that. It's like, I don't think I would ever understand what it feels like for people to, look at what I've created and get that feedback, whether it be like positive or negative. Like, that's just, it's amazing. It makes me really appreciate all the people out there who are doing their thing.
It's like, instead of inner critics, they have real people critics.
Yes, absolutely. And then how they turn all of that into their next creation. Like, how do they fold all of that, all the comments and the responses, and then create something new, and they just keep doing it.
Right. What happens to someone when they do that over and over again?
I don't know. I don't think I could answer that.
So
I would
curious.
definitely, yeah, I would. I'm going to ask Noah. I'm going to ask him. Or you can ask him. You ask him.
I'm curious, because I feel like there are things that you get in there, right? You start working. I work with a lot of students. I work with some executives. You start to see patterns, right? You see things that okay, like, I know when I'm working with a student, when they start coming to a coaching session with different kinds of topics, with different ideas of, okay, they're using their planner, they have things going, like now the questions aren't so much, how do I, get a certain grade or get into a school, but the questions then become, how can I operate at a more efficient level? Like, I know that when students start like not looking at the outside factors, but start looking at the internal workings, that's okay. Now we're making progress, in that internal progress. Same with executives, when it becomes like exactly what you're talking about, like, the idea of how can you start to get, deeper in these different perspectives and, optimize your time and align that with your vision, like that, yeah, all of that, yes, you're on the right track. I'm curious about what happens in that process of, constantly putting yourself out there. Does it ever get to a point in time that becomes, habitual, like the habit, like putting your heart and soul out there becomes the habit? I mean, that to me is wow. Like what else comes for the ride, and that, and then you get to be you get an inside view of that. I mean, how fulfilling is that work?
That is just absolutely amazing. It it inspires me really to see that, especially on a daily basis. It's very inspiring. It's like I have no excuse not to do better. It's like, a lot of what I do is, more behind the scenes. So it's there's no reason that anything should be able to stop me.
It's so fun. I feel like these client sessions become both, I would say, like opportunities of deep increased mindfulness. Like there's it's a practice. It's coaching is a practice.
Yeah, and it's like you're helping the clients, but the clients are also like giving you something in return. It's like they're being open. And that's what I found. The more open the client is, and the better the sessions are. It's like you get like a full glimpse of um, their thoughts, and they're allowing you to because they trust you. And it's just very rewarding to be able to have that connection, to have that level of trust, and to see how things function in their world. Um, it's like being able to experience like traveling, different cultures, different mindsets, and all of that. And it really opens up the world even more.
There's a poem, I think it's by Blake, it talks about Homer, reading Homer in translation, and about seeing whole new planets, arrive. And this is when, Uranus was discovered. So it was like a big deal, right? Like there are more planets in the solar system that you can find with a telescope. For me, I feel like coaching is like that in some ways. When you're working with someone, it's like a whole new world opens up and you get to see the world from their perspective, like the totality of it. Like there's a deeply fulfilling human desire to connect, in that space.
Absolutely. And I think if I were to give any advice to a new coach, I would say be patient, because being coached is a learning process. It's not everyone's familiar with that process, and being asked these sometimes intimate questions. I mean, how you respond and how much detail you give, it's up to you. But it's like, yeah, be patient. Because I know coming from consulting, I actually had a really hard time at 1.0. I'm just like, oh my God, what did I get myself into? This is so hard. I think 1.0 was the hardest thing for me. And then when I was able to break that consulting mindset and really get into and learn the coaching process, um, it just opened up. And 2.0 was, I wouldn't say it's easier, but for me it made it, the ability to adapt to it was definitely greatly increased.
What was
I
fun
think I didn't
about
have
like
the
my experience getting the
barriers.
2.0 was feeling like everyone has a certain brand. Like there's a certain
Mhm.
like we bring ourselves to the profession too. And it's fascinating to me to watch coaches like really define their style. Like a lot of it is figuring out like, so who are you? Like, who am I? Like, and I feel like coaching helps because, coaching is a practice and there are
Mhm.
standards. There's a standard. This is, what textbook coaching looks like. But then when people break those standards or when people break the usual, but it still works, and not just still works, but works even better. That to me is the exciting part, because that's where you find like your own like brand. Like that's when you get to discover your own self in this process.
Yes. Yeah.
What did you discover about yourself in the process of coaching?
That it's important to be yourself, and you can be yourself. So I hope that I can show people that you can break barriers just by being yourself. Having worked in some more traditional spaces that were, male driven, I was just myself, and I was able to navigate them without giving up who I am. And I think that's very important.
Totally. I mean, this is the time and space in history when, the tide is turning. There are a couple of directors I've been working with, and one's a college friend, the other's she's the acting coach of our daughters, and both are women, and they're both breaking into the directing space, and it's well past time. Like it's exciting to see them work and bring themselves and all of it to these projects. Where do you see them being someone who's broken those barriers? Like what was the process, or like what were the milestones when you knew, okay, this is working, this is going in the direction that I wanted to go in?
I mean, for me personally, I think a lot of it was that I'm very stubborn and I'm very persistent. So if if I see someone doing something, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, or anything, if you can do it and I have the ability to do it, I want to do it too. I should not be told no. And if you tell me no, I'm going to keep coming back, which is why I think I was so effective as like a talent manager, because I was just so persistent.
That's so awesome. That's so good.
I still remember.
It's so
There
fun
was,
to play in this space again. Like we used to do this often on our calls. I
yeah,
miss those calls. Those were fun.
absolutely.
It was a fun period of time in life.
Yeah.
I knew I'd look back on it with nostalgia at some point, and it's happening right now. Oh my God! So we have a question. We have a question from Benny, who's been
Okay.
in a couple. I've subbed in Benny's class. So hi, Benny. So glad you're listening live. And
Hi.
the question is, does your multicultural background influence your coaching style in any way? And she says, by the way, you are super inspirational.
Oh, thank you. I think so. I think sometimes it really helps me connect with people in like more, I would say, efficient. I'm not. Everyone can make like a deep connection. Um, it's just there are more. I guess I can. It's like a wider range that I can pull from. Wider range of experiences, and a lot of times people connect through experiences.
What do people, other coaches who might not have as much, as many cultural experiences, what are the main things they need to know, or you would like them to know?
To be open. Uh, I think being open is very important. It's I think during the 1.0 is and doing like the listening exercises. And I know one thing that John drilled into all of us is to create an environment where you're not judging the client. I think that is so important. Because even though I have the experiences and I was exposed to a lot of different cultures from a young age, there's still so much I don't know. So I think the most important thing is being open and not judging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's when that curiosity starts to become the default rather than
yeah. And not being afraid to ask questions.
right. I mean, for me, I love the coaching profession. I feel like it's like you get to become, like, your job is literally to become a professional curiosity. Like, you are a curiositor. Like, that's your job, is just stay in curiosity and you're good. Like, that's, and you add empathy to that and empathetic curiosity, and then you're golden. That's your job. Being empathetically curious and you're waiting. Woohoo! What is, you also, when you have a style of bringing, like, I feel like you slow down time and space with your presence.
I have
And sometimes
definitely
what you
heard that.
say, it just
Yes.
echoes. How does that show up in other areas of your life? I mean, it feels like you have like an ability to bring mindfulness.
It's the being comfortable with silence and just allowing space to think. I think because I just love observing, I understand intrinsically that like silence is a good thing sometimes. It allows you to work through whatever's going on in your own head. And allowing that space is just so important because it's not often where you get to just sit down and dedicate time to just thinking about one thing. And as a coach, I'm able to create that environment where it's like, I'm here for you. I'm here for you fully. So this time is yours. It's your time. You use it however you need to.
You're such a powerful coach. It's so fun to feel your power come through in your
Thank you.
authentic style, Wennie. Like, it is deeply fulfilling. It is inspirational. yeah, I mean, my heart just feels so happy, like hearing you do your thing.
And thank you for doing your thing. I mean, honestly, I didn't even realize I wanted to do coaching until I was in your class. I was like, wow, this is what's been missing. And I love being able to be so curious, because oftentimes you think about questions, but you can't just go up to someone and ask them. But
Right.
when you're in a safe environment and you're invited to be curious, it's just, I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's very liberating for me. So thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, Wendy.
And thank your team. Your team's amazing.
Thank you. And I feel like I mean, in some ways it's I get to have an opportunity to, work with a lot of people, and then, really get in there and empathetically listen and get, I mean, the culture of the team is infused with this. I mean, it's especially with the Moise also, I mean, trained in this, and, us together, I feel like oftentimes our team has to deal with the mom and dad. Like, all right, you get mom this time, you get dad this time. Sometimes you get both, you got to learn how to deal with that, but if that's I mean, it's fun. It's fun to get in there and do this. And I think part of what's cool about coaching for me, I mean, I know my style, it's bubbly. It's, I tend to get in there and then be with hard, and be there. And I feel like that's the other side of the liberation of coaching, is that it's not that we're just all in positive and it's all this, rainbows and unicorns and, happy things, but it's when you're sitting with the ouch, when you're sitting with the hurt, you're sitting with the stuff that people really need to see. Coaching has that too. And it's the ability to be with the full range of human experience. That to me is the liberating part of coaching. I think that's what you're speaking to.
Yeah. I would love to know what it's like for your children to grow up with both parents as coaches.
Me too.
I'm
I'm
so
curious.
curious.
Yeah, we are definitely part of a social experiment that is continuing to unfold. So far, it's going really well, I'd say. Moises, she's amazing. I mean, she has a natural gift of maximizing people. That's what she does. I mean, it's on the team, our family, it's what it's her strength. I mean, it's authentic to her. And
I love that.
What I'm fascinated with, what fascinates me, and what I'm most fascinated with, is like sometimes when I would go one direction and she goes a different direction. It's fascinating for me to be able to have the space in our, being to observe that with curiosity, to say, okay, I'm on board. Like, where are we going? And to go that direction, but to see the result of that after a period of time. I think what I'm seeing in, with our littles, as they're getting a little older now, entering their teenage years, is they definitely have a strong foundation. Like we can start to see it, and the kind of conversations that we're able to have are amazing because of it, and because we're able to I think what happens is the accuracy of communication is real, and it's you're able to call things out quicker, in a way that's not like shaming, but in a way that's empowering. Mm-hmm. And that's a huge deal. It reminds me of, we have to wrap up. I know we're getting in time here. Was that Tom? I think his name was Tom Rath. He was the Strengths. He was one of the people who did the Strengths Finders when he was, I think, in his 20s or something like this. He grew up in with Clifton Strength Finders being his grandpa and his dad. So he grew up in high positivity world. He found out he had cancer in his 20s. And then lost sight in one of his eyes. But he said he had such a bank of positivity that he didn't actually think of it as a negative at some point in time. He just was able to overcome it and live this amazing life that he's, written multiple bestsellers and all of this.
Mm.
I heard him speak once at the Positive Psychology Institute, and I thought that I'm hoping like that guy is the template, you know, for children who grow up with coaching concepts.
Yeah, it's like making the best of what you have.
Mm-hmm. We'll find out. We'll find out. And Wennie, your style is so, I mean, I feel like your voice, what you bring, like the way that you show this is another style of coaching, truly is a powerful example for others that, you know, you don't have, like coaching doesn't have to always look a certain way, you know, and it can look, you know, different ways, and there's power in that. And yeah, just thank you for being you, bringing it, doing what you do.
And thank you. I had really good trainers. Hannah was amazing. You were amazing. I know we had guest instructors. They were great. They were part of your team, and I just had such a great time. And I remember the courses were early in the morning too, but I was just so excited. I got up every morning. I think it was 6 a.m. For us.
Yeah, I just put another like early morning appointment on the books. I thought, you know, this is real. This is real. Is it happening? All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Well, Wennie, thank you so much. You know, it's been
Thank
really
you, John.
See you again.
Yes, see you.
You got your your glamorous look and background. It's so professional. Looks like we're in a movie shoot of some sort.
Oh, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you again, Wennie. Thank you, community. Those of you who are here watching live, Benny, thanks for the question. For those who are catching this in the recording, thank you for being part of the Coach Train EDU community. This has been a Coaching to Flourish podcast. I'm your host, John, and today we got to hear from Wennie Lu. Thank you, and I will see you next week.